I've watched quite a bit of BLs as of late as we head into fall. Oh, I don't want summer to end, but it is what it is. I have found that I have picked up a lot of shows because so many BLs are coming out, but I have dropped so many also in hindsight, and there are a few that I've put on hold because I'm reserving judgment on them. But I just wanted to go over some of them and just kind of blurt out my thoughts. Hi, I'm Monique. I'm the host of Off by Purple Art podcast, where I talk to you about K-dramas, C-dramas, BTS, and so much more. A large bulk of this podcast is going to be talking about BLs, but I'm also going to talk about just shows in general that I've kind of picked up and how I'm feeling about them. I'm going to start off with the BL section, and I'm going to talk about ABO Desire. ABO Desire has been airing for quite a while now, and this, project, I applaud it for existing because Omegaverse is a really hard thing to explain to people that are not really into the fanfic world and in that fandom, and it's just got so many layers to it. So the fact it exists to me is already phenomenal. I just think it's very daring in that sense. I have had a love-hate relationship with the show, if I'm being perfectly honest, especially with the later episodes. I think with the main couple, I get that they're the focus and they were the primary couple from the novel that it was adapted from. But to be honest, I feel like their story, even though it's still ongoing, I feel like for me personally, the story has concluded. The, you know, the alpha was being manipulated and the enigma was pretending to be the, soft and demure Omega, and that kind of got tiring after a while. Now that the manipulation has all been kind of revealed, I'm like, okay. So the actors are really stunning. Elliot in particular is a very, very captivating presence. But as far as the main couple storyline, I'm like, okay. I've always really been there more for the second couple. Galtu and Sheng Wang were pretty much my interest and focus. Mind you, Shen Wang has been pretty awful to Galtu for the entirety of the show, and whatever backstory they're going to give him to justify his prejudice towards Omegas and his just overall nasty attitude because he's in denial about how much he's in love with his supposed best friend for so many years and his trusted assistant and someone that has worked alongside him for as many years as he has. I just find his attitude really grating, and I'm happy that we finally have gotten to the point now where Geltu has said enough is enough and has handed in his resignation letter and is going to look after now his unborn child. So I don't know how far along he is, but he is pregnant and he has had it. So I'm hoping that with the few remaining episodes that this show has, that they can shift a little bit of the focus to the second couple and actually have Sheng Wang actually grovel. You don't understand how much I need to see him grovel. I have been very patient with this show and I've put up with it. And don't get defensive in the comments, relax. I still enjoy it just by it existing, but I need to see him grovel. Because if I don't see him grovel and we get like a 2-minute resolution for this couple, even if they're not the focus, I think because of the way that the show promoted both of these ships, if I don't see a proper resolution for these two, I know they're going to get together. That's besides the point. Like, we're watching BL. Listen here. If I don't get the ending that I want, if I genuinely do not see groveling, I'm going to be very irritated by the time that I invested in the show. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay? Khemjira is an ex-BL. I've technically put this show on hold for a little bit. Quick editing note for Khemjira before my upcoming rant. I have since watched the latest episode 7. So when I talk specifically about the chemistry of the main leads, I actually thought episode 7 was probably the best showing. And that is actually when we're actually starting to get, the slow burn unveiling. So I just have to reiterate, because I can already see the comments coming. I don't have a problem with slow burn. I actually love slow burn romance when I believe it's done really well and intricately, and then there's enough of the main storyline, if romance isn't the main focus, to I think it like enriches like the main plot. So I have found kind of the pacing of Khemjira kind of off depending on which episode, but I did enjoy the current episode, episode 7. So I haven't written the show off completely, and I again have to reiterate that I think the show in itself is really gorgeous as far as how it's shot, how it's filmed, all the special effects, and the amount of spirituality and lore that is built into it. I know that this show has been crafted really well, and I know there's a lot of context and nuance that I'm missing because I haven't read the novel of it that I believe exists. But I still think when you're adapting a novel to live action, it should still be congruent. And even though you have to cut away certain stuff because of time length and et cetera, it should still flow easily, that the audience that doesn't have access to the novel and literature like that, or mangas, or whatever the case may be, whatever is being adapted, I feel like an audience that's just purely viewing the material as shown to us in the live action should still be able to follow along and not feel like the pacing's off, and be even engaged even if there isn't romance present. That's all. I have a lot of mixed feelings about it. On one hand, I think it's absolutely a gorgeous show. Now, the cinematography, the set designs that they've done, a lot of the special effects, I'll even say the acting for the most part is actually pretty decent. So technically on paper, Khemjira should work for me and it should be like a knockout hit. But there's something that isn't sitting well with me, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's how the show is handling domestic violence, especially with like some of the side characters. I don't know if it's that and the tonality of that. I don't know if it's that I saw so much chemistry between the two leads in like the teaser trailers for the show, but when I'm actually watching the actual show, and these are long episodes too, I just, for some reason, the chemistry isn't there for me as much as I would like. I just do not buy into it at all. And it's not that I'm someone that's against slow burn. I actually think slow burn, when executed well, is probably one of my favorite ways of using romance as a medium. I think there's nothing more engaging than a romance that is just bubbling under the surface, and you as an audience are watching two characters fall in love without either character actually realizing what's going on. Even if ideology wise they're like on opposite spectrums, even though there might be, actual good compelling barriers to getting them together. It's not that I'm against slow burn or careful crafted storyline. I don't even care if the show makes the romance kind of take a step back, if the main story arcs are engaging enough for me to continue. But there's something about Khemjira, for me personally, that just isn't clicking well enough for me. So I've put it on pause, but because it is such a massive production, it might be the type of show that actually is better suited for me to binge entirely the way through instead of like waiting week by week. I feel like if I see the entire story unfold, I might have a different takeaway from it, but I've definitely put that one on hold. Next is Kill to Love, which I've heard a few times mentioned in my comment section, and I've definitely heard discussions on it online. And as far as it being like a historical BL that is a Chinese BL, it's very rare in its kind, and I tried to give it 3 episodes. So far, I'm kind of on the fence about it. I haven't really have felt the same way that a lot of people have spoken very passionately about the show, but it might be I just haven't watched it to the point where the show kind of really gets into the powerful angst and we get to really see the chemistry at play. So Kill to Love is probably a show that I will pick back up, but I'm kind of on the fence about that one as well. And Magic Prophecy, which was a BL that I was really excited about because it features Jimmy and C, and I thought the first couple of episodes were really great. but I don't know if I'm in the right headspace for it, because since the next few episodes that have come out in recent, I I just wasn't feeling the same. I don't know if I'm getting into like a BL slump per se. Maybe that's what it is, but I just kind of took a break from Magic Prophecy as well. Shine. Shine is a really interesting case to me. So I have done a full length podcast about Shine and my thoughts, and I actually think it's one of the better productions that are out right now. I have to do another editing note for Shine. I have since watched the final episode of Shine, and I will say this. I think overall I enjoy the project, and I enjoy what the project was able to do. I really like Mile and Appo, so that goes without saying. Really like Sun and Euro, and I would love to see them again in another production, whether it be BOC or not. Even Peter, I believe that's an actor's name, who portrays Victor. I think all these players did extraordinarily well. But one of my main gripes is the writing in episode 8, in particular with Devi. I'm going to do a reel that's probably going to go into a lot more detail of my thoughts on the use of Devi in the final episode and the reveal about her and how that impacted the relationship of Naran and Lurt, and how I had a lot of disagreements with how that was portrayed. Both the main lead couple, and I am someone that enjoys Appo and Mile, and I really like Sun, I believe, and Euro, who are playing the second couple of the show, and their entire torrid affair was really captivating. I, though, have some quibbles about episode 7. Episodes 1 through 6, I think, were really fantastic. Episode 7, I don't want to go into heavy spoilers in this, because this podcast episode isn't necessarily about Shine in itself, so I don't really want to give a lot away. I'll just say this for those who have watched it and will know what I'm talking about. I don't necessarily have a problem with the outcome of what happened in episode 7. It's not that I'm against necessarily the events. I was more against in how they were written. I feel like with all the buildup and foreshadowing to a lot of what happened in episode 7, it was really done in a way that I liked the overall vibe of the show, but there's something about episode 7 and how they depicted the events just left me unsatisfied. Maybe that is a more kinder way of putting it, but I unfortunately really did not like episode 7. And as I said, if you watch the episode, you know what happened. It's not the events, because the events themselves I knew were going to happen, because there was a lot of storytelling cues that told us these things were going to happen. It was the way they unfolded, I think, could have been executed a little cleaner, a little bit better. But I still hold out hope for episode 8. I really do hope that the show can finish strongly, and I can still be as enamored with it as I was with the prior 6 episodes. Because I'm telling you, episode 1 through 6, no notes. I really enjoyed what I saw. It was episode 7 where I started to take issue with some of the writing choices. And I really hope that does not extend into episode 8. There's some other BLs that I had watched that I have since dropped. Secret Lover. I don't even know where to start with that show, but just know I dropped it. There's the other one that I was really excited about the 10 things that I want to do before I turn 40. There is something about that show that does not sit well with me. Maybe it ended well, because I believe the finale of that show is today. As I'm filming this is a Saturday, and maybe I was expecting it to be another version of Old Fashioned Cupcake, and it's fine, and it's probably for the best that it's not that. I don't need an exact carbon copy of a show that I previously loved that it reminded me of, but I just feel, and I don't know if it's because I'm someone that hasn't read the manga for this, so I don't know if there's a lot of context that I've missed out on, but I just feel like the last few episodes prior to episode 12 just kind of lost its way a little bit, and I just remain unconvinced for the main couple's romance. I just don't really buy into it at all. For someone that thought the show was cute and was a little comforting in the beginning, I don't know. It just kind of started to wear thin on me. And now I'm just at the point like, ugh. So I pretty much stopped, I think, around episode 10, I think. Yeah, I think it was 9 or 10. I might pick it back up, but I'll be honest, I really don't have the energy to do so. I really don't think so. I don't know what to say. As far as other shows that I've been watching that aren't BLs, I have talked about Bon Appetit, Your Majesty, which is a K-drama which stars Yuna. I think this has been a huge surprise for me because I have been in a massive K-drama slump. And I really, really, really enjoyed the hell of this show. I think it has amazing food shots. I think the chemistry between the two leads, Lee Chae-min and Yuna, is just fire. And it's just a really cute show. And it's a really good palate cleanser. It doesn't have a large episode order, and I genuinely hope that they can stick the landing for this show. I also picked up another K-drama, funny enough, Temptest, which I think episode 5 has come out since, and it's a political thriller, and I am loving the hell out of it. It has actually some surprise appearances from some actors I really love as well, including John Cho, which I did not know about initially, which I absolutely love. As far as the Chinese drama side of things, I'm been watching When Destiny Brings a Demon, and at stars Arthur Chen. I think that's the title of it, and I kind of dropped that, but I want to pick it back up because I actually was really enjoying it. I thought I was having a great time. It's just really surreal, just kind of high fantasy that has great chemistry, but also doesn't take itself very seriously, and it's quite wacky. I don't know. It just has all sorts of interesting beats to it, and I have to pick it back up. I also started rewatching The Double again. The Double, as far if you are familiar with my podcast at all, I talked about The Double at length last year. Like, that to me was like my mainstay show. I think this is like my 4th watch of The Double, and honestly, I still fall in love with it every single time. God, I want a C-drama, an epic costume C-drama, to give me the exact same feels that show did. It was just a whole other level of excellence. I loved it so much. But I think that's going to be it as far as my recap of everything that I've been watching as of late. Let me know your thoughts. I don't mean to, rain on the parade of anybody that's enjoying some of the more popular BLs that I mentioned earlier. I'm just being honest on where my head's at. It might just be that I'm just in a general like creative funk kind of a thing, and maybe that's bleeding through into some of the shows that I'm watching, but I'm kind of hoping some get better. As I said, I've been very patient with ABO Desire, and I'm gonna hold my tongue as far as the criticisms. As I said, I just need Shang Wang to be groveling, or we're gonna have problems. My camera is overheating now, and I gotta wrap this up. So let me know your thoughts below. Keep it cute, keep it demure in the comments. But let me know your thoughts on any BLs or any shows in general that you're watching that you're really loving and enjoying right now. Thank you for watching the podcast. If you're watching the YouTube version, for my Spotify, Apple Podcasts subscribers, love y'all down as well. Let me know your thoughts on those platforms as well. Till the next one.